So I knew that I had anxiety and clinical depression when I started breaking my day up into 3 very distinct parts. And the first part might have been the worst, and that was waking up every day. And you wake up with this pit in your stomach, and that is dread. It was waking up with dread every single morning. And I would go, I'd go to my shower, turn it on, get in, and I'd close my eyes, and I'd lean up against the shower wall, and I'd just kind of let the water hit me. And I'd stay there for like 5, 10, some mornings 15 minutes, and it would just take me so much strength to turn the shower off in the morning and towel off and get started. Because I knew once I stepped out of there, that took me to part 2 of my day. And part 2 is about just acting normal. It's all of these thoughts that are swirling in your head over and over and over, and you are just trying to act like your normal self, or what you think they think is your normal self. And I'm pretty good at it. So I would say for the most part, not a lot of people knew that I was anxious or depressed. And I would just try to get through the day, every single day, without someone asking me what's wrong. And that was my goal. And then the third part of the day, it's how soon can I go to sleep so I can end this day and just get this day over with. How quickly can I end this day? That's what I used to think. And it was just like going to bed and turning my mind off was just like this relief and a chance to recharge and know that tomorrow is coming, and I need to find a way to prepare myself for that next day. And in a lot of people's minds that go through this, that is normal. That is what we feel like is normal. And I remember someone said to me, and I'm pretty sure it was my therapist, but she's like, just so you know, the way you're feeling is not normal. People don't feel like that every day. Most people don't wake up with a pit in their stomach, sit in the shower, go to work with a mask on of trying to be normal, and then try to get to bed as soon as possible. That is not normal. And it's the first time that clicked for me, where I'm like, oh, maybe there is something wrong. And that's when I got help. And that was a year and a bit ago now, and I'm in such a better place now. And I'm in such a better place for a couple reasons. Therapy played a huge piece. Meditation played a big piece. Fitness played a huge piece. Really big piece, fitness. And I started taking antidepressants, which I know for some people that's an option. For some people that's just not something they would ever consider. But man, I wake up every day looking forward to life. I find life magical in a way that we get to live every single day. And I still go to bed early though, so but I'm not negotiating. I tend to get up early, but I love US grocery stores. If you're Canadian, you understand exactly what I'm saying. There's just so much better stuff. I'm looking for some candy. Oh yeah. This size is a bag of M&M's. Bigger than my head. Oh wow. Oh, Mike and X right there. That's exactly what I wanted. Also, low key. Milk duds. Very good. So amazing. I haven't had milk duds in so long. Oh, dude, I can't wait. Oh, so good. Oh wow, that's as stale as they come. Oh my god. It's part of the experience. So a bit about me. My name is Matt Sicoly. I run the Mad Matt Sicoly running account. I find it hard to talk about this anxiety and depression stuff because, the last couple of years, it's crazy because objectively, they should be and could have been the best years of my life, right? I got married, we got a dog, we bought a condo.
I ended up getting and working in one of my dream jobs. I have an amazing family. Everyone's still healthy and moving. Like, it's like all of these things were happening, yet I still was finding myself getting into this like darker and darker and darker place. When you're depressed and anxious, you know you shouldn't be. It's not like even though that's a rational thought, it's like you should be so thankful. You know, that still doesn't make it any easier. And that's kind of how you kind of know that something's going on, and it kind of just gradually happens. It's not like this thing that just like one day you wake up and you're sad or you're anxious or you're depressed. It kind of like happens over time. It's like you're like in this like pot of water, and it's like warm and you're a little bit stressed and things are happening, and then like week by week, month by month, that water is just getting a little bit hotter, like degree by degree, and then before you know it, you look around and that water's boiling, and you're like in the middle of this like boiling water, and you can't get out, and that's your life. Like that's how you feel. And you know, as I was going through this in the last couple of years, and as things started to get a little bit more difficult, and I started to feel more dread and started to avoid more social situations and started to like really show up differently in my life, it just started to boil over. Pop and looked at. They're so still. And I'm someone who is very proactive about this stuff. Like, I knew I was stressed. I knew I was anxious. I knew I was depressed, but I'm like, I could fix this. Like, I've fixed things before. I will get through this. And I just like threw myself into meditation. I threw myself into fitness. I threw myself into therapy. I was going to therapy like once a week. I took a manifestation course to try to like rewire my brain, like anything that I could do to fix myself. And I was trying all of those things, and then it was still getting progressively worse. And that's when I hit my breaking point.
And, you know, it was nothing crazy. Just, I remember we had this wonderful weekend, my wife and I, and it was filled with like really good dinners, and everyone was in the best mood, and I actually had this really great time, and it was such a normal, fun, wonderful week. And then I remember driving home Sunday, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I couldn't even describe it. I knew that I had this great weekend. I have my health. I have an amazing wife. I have all these great friends. I have a body that allows me to move in the way that I want it to. And even though that all of those things rationally made sense, there was just this like cloud that I couldn't shake. And I said, this is kind of when I need to get help. So, you know, that was a couple years ago now, and I got help, and I started taking medication that I responded really well to, and it was really tough to do that because there's probably a million questions that most people have before doing things like this. But I had a lot of support from the people around me. My therapist and I had talked about this quite a bit, and eventually just made the decision that this was something that I wanted to do and wanted to improve my life. So that was one of the biggest turning points in my life. And I know some people have different opinions on it, and some people have different situations with it, but I was really lucky, and I just responded really well to antidepressants that just helped elevate my feelings and helped shake off some of the irrational, negative self-doubt and rumination that I felt on a minute-to-minute basis. And I went from a place where I was suffering every single day to a place where I didn't have to suffer anymore. And it was probably the most beautiful thing that I got to experience in the 30 plus years that I've been living. So, but yeah, I'm sharing this because some of you might be going through something similar. And I don't think life needs to be about suffering, because I think we're on this planet for how many years we ever get to live on this planet, and I'd rather spend those days enjoying what life has to give versus struggling every day. So anyways, that's my story. And I've never shared that really. Well, I've shared it with a few people, but not publicly, that's for sure. But I wanted to share it because I think there's so much of training and fitness that is tied into this, and tied into mental health, and tied into a lot of the feelings that I'm sure you or someone you know might be going through. So I wanted to share a couple learnings for me in my journey that hopefully can help. So the first thing I would say is that fitness is an incredible outlet for people who are suffering from mental health. Training is a way to take a little bit of control back in your life. The reason I train every day is because it does two things for me. Number one is it gives me a plan and a structure that I can fall into, and I have control over that plan, and it's me and it's my body. It's very personal to me. I control what I'm gonna do that day. I control the thoughts in my head. I control how hard or how easy I want to go that day. And I'm building towards something. And that's something that is really positive to me, that I can take control of a life, out of a piece of life that is typically chaotic, and I get to take that in control. The second thing is, when I wake up and I know that there's maybe a big meeting that I have, or a big event or social gathering that I have, and maybe it's causing me a little bit of stress or anxiety or whatever it might be, I do find 30 to 60 to 90 minutes of some type of exercise. Typically cardio for me is running, biking, sometimes it's lifting, sometimes it's a fitness class. I typically do emerge out of that space after my run in a much better headspace. There's been countless times where my wife and I will be talking in the morning, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not in the right space right now. I'm just gonna go for a quick run. And she supports that. When I get back, I'm a different person. So fitness is a really positive outlet. If it's something you've tried before or haven't tried before, I really think that that fitness and moving your body and getting your heart rate up is a really cool way to do that. The second huge unlock for me is therapy and how that relates to your fitness. I used to go to my therapist and kind of the classic sit on the couch and talk about all your problems and feelings, and we'd use like techniques and CBT and all this stuff to kind of like work through anxiety and depression and all these things. But I would say within this last year, I go to my therapist and I've just been treating her like another coach, and it's been the best thing. And if there's anything if you're someone who trains and is doing a marathon or a half marathon or whatever, and you see a therapist, talk to them about it. My therapist has absolutely no background in like sports psychology, but she is the one who is like helping me think through my training and has been such a positive force for me. One thing she was starting to notice that I was starting to talk about my training, and I started to have like this somewhat of like a negative sentiment. Training was starting to get like, I wasn't getting faster. My times weren't very good. I was really frustrated with my progress. And she kind of did this exercise with me where she's like, let's imagine like your favorite run that you went on in the last year, and just like talk to me about that run. And I remember it was this like 30K run I did, and it was like the sun was out and I was listening to some great music, and I was just kind of like out there. I felt amazing. My pace was insane. And she was like, what were the variables that went into that run? Like, what was it that allowed you to get into that space of flow that maybe you're not allowing yourself to get into? And basically what we came to understand is that like I'd taken the joy out of running by only focusing on my speed and my time and how fast I'm going and my fueling. And there was so much that I was just getting a little bit too caught up in. So I took a lot of the things that she said that day and I applied it to my last race in Chicago, which was hands down my favorite race I've ever done, because I actually got a chance to enjoy it. And I got to take in the crowd a little bit, and I actually didn't even use my watch that whole race. I just paced by feel. I paced on what felt right for me in that moment. And I had like the best race possible. So the third thing is more of a watch out for people who struggle with mental health, but I noticed that there is a really slippery slope with a lot of the things that go into like really elite training. The one that's obvious is eating. If you're someone who is really, really passionate about your fitness, you tend to start gravitating towards nutrition. And there's things that you can eat that are good for you, and there's things that you can eat that, you know, subjectively and objectively are bad for you. And I have a heavier body set. And for endurance sports, you really do want to be, you know, lean and light. Allows you to go faster typically. Once I started to try to lose weight and I started to use things like, you know, fitness trackers and food trackers, you know, it could get a bit obsessive, and you start to eat really perfectly and try to get into this perfect nutrition cycle, and you're skipping, you know, different meals, and you're skipping different foods, and you're avoiding alcohol and anything that could be negative, and it's a really slippery slope. Same thing can happen with training. For people who struggle with mental health, fitness is an amazing outlet. Eating healthy is an amazing outlet. There's definitely worse things you can get obsessed about, but it's just something to, I would say, be mindful of, that there are a couple pitfalls along the way. And it's not anything to say like, stop what you're doing right now, but it's more just like, always kind of just keep that watch out. You know, there's lots of people in my life that would say like, Matt, I feel like you're not eating enough, or it looks like you're doing a lot of workouts. And sometimes it's like, you know, you just want to brush those people off, but sometimes there is a bit of truth to that. So just, you know, be open to that, especially with people you trust. And the last thing that I would say has really helped me is talking about this stuff. You know, I've talked to a lot of people that are super supportive. I've talked to a lot of people that are not supportive of medication, of the idea of mental health and just toughing it out versus getting help. And I used to be like that too. I could appreciate that, but I've started to talk about this stuff a little bit more openly, obviously as I'm filming this video, I guess, but I've gone on some amazing runs with some amazing people where I've been allowed to talk about what's on my mind, talk about what I'm struggling with, talk about what I'm anxious about, and there's something really magical about being on a nice, easy run, talking to someone, sharing really openly how you're feeling, and getting, you know, someone to listen, or even someone to give you some advice. So if you're someone who is going through these thoughts, and I would just say, like, don't be too afraid to talk about it, whether it's to someone like a therapist who is confidential, a partner, a friend, family. This stuff is real, man, and it's scary, but once you can start to see that, like, the way you're feeling maybe isn't how everyone else feels, you know, I promise you right now, there's a lot of people that don't wake up in the morning with a pit in their stomach and don't try to avoid every social gathering and don't find, you know, an issue and can't get it out of their head. You know, that's something that's unique to a lot of us. And don't be afraid to, you know, until you're ready to open up and share that. Sometimes those things can just stay inside you. So talking about them, I found long runs to be an amazing time to do that. So yeah, that's my story. The next time someone searches for anxiety and depression plus running or plus fitness, I hope this video comes up for you, because I wish it came up for me. And the real reason is because it's kind of lonely when you think you're the only one who feels like this. And I can promise you that you're not. You're definitely not, because I'm out here and I'm using this as the most positive way I'm using fitness and this journey that I'm on to do half Ironman and hopefully a full Ironman as a way to bring some positivity and some education around mental health, and also to just connect with other people that maybe are going through something similar. So I hope you enjoyed it. Throw me a comment, whether it's public or personal. You can DM me or email me or whatever, if you want to share what you're going through. But I hope this helps. And if you like these videos, feel free to subscribe, and looking forward to hearing from you.